understand I got a lot on my mind.
What's going on, everybody? Lloyd Jones with Midnight Comics here, and here we are back with another episode of Indie Breakdown, where we break down your favorite indie comic book characters and get them prepared for an indie versus matchup. Today we have an awesome guest, good friend of ours, Calvin. How you doing, bro?
What's going on, man? Comics, we're here. Here, just enjoying this Thursday night, man. It's been surreal, So hey, we are.
And well, awesome. Friday Eve, as we like to call it, right?
Friday Eve, Thirsty Thursday.
Right, Thursday. Lord of mercy. But no, Calvin is the creator and I guess founder, owner, all that good stuff of Icarus Metro Comics. So today we're going to be talking about all the characters in Icarus Metro because, we got another group here for you. Tell us about the characters in Icarus Metro, the storyline, of course, specifically.
So basically, Icarus Metro follows the storyline of a group of paranormal powered individuals trying to protect their city metro area from a group of, let's just say, criminal paranormal individuals, a chaotic underworld group, a collective of different powered individuals with their own individual causes and goals, but they come together as a collective to try to, infiltrate and pull this city area, metro area under their reign. This group, this pre-established group of powered individuals within the city area, bands together once again to stop this criminal organization from taking over. So currently right now we have Icarus Metro 1 and 2 out. Icarus Metro 3 is being worked on. And Icarus Metro 3 kind of establishes okay, it's time for them to counterattack against this organization. I wish I could show a preview of Icarus 3 on here, but for those who supported Ani Hunter, which is inside the second, which is inside the world of Icarus, you'll be able to see a one of the potential covers. Icarus 3 within it, so it'd be like a coming soon type of graphic. But yeah, we're trying to build this universe, man. Little by little, taking our time with it. Next year we have we're working on a light novel, so basically a novel version of how this universe got started, basically all the lore, the story juice, the introduction to every single character, all the Paladins, just everything.
Okay.
So that is probably going to be one of our next big projects, and we're just excited to showcase everything that we got going on.
See, I like the route that you're taking. Like you threw us in again, pre-established stuff, and then you're able to go back and say, this is the lore of everything, and now we could go back and look at the pre-established stuff and say, oh, got it. This is this is that.
Yeah.
Go on from there. See, I like that.
And plus, I kind of wanted to just showcase the characters. I want people to be like, oh, I want to learn more about this character, because it's also like a gauging thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like I may have a specific set of favorite characters, but I don't know what people like. You know what I mean? If I can showcase to them, okay, you got this character, this character, this character, this character. Who do you guys want to see more? And then
got you. So, with that being said, one of the characters used to go by Slasher, right? Are we going to be able to see? Are we going to see them before they join the group, before they are? What they are
you'll see everybody before they join the group. Yeah,
okay.
So that'll be in the novel. I actually started that originally as a webtoon called Juice, so that's the title of the novel, Juice Paranormal Adventures.
Okay.
So it's actually on webtoons. So you can see him as the slasher.
I didn't know this. Hold on. It's called Juice on webtoons right now?
Yeah, it's called Juice on webtoons. Yeah. So it was my first title I created back in 2017.
Okay.
So it was a long time coming, and basically Icarus Metro is 90 years later after that story. So. All the same characters, just basically their introduction, basically from scratch, like your old school Naruto shonen type of,
Okay, so that book is staying canon to everything else, right? So we don't, it's not gonna, when you come out with the light novel, all of that is kind of like companion material. All that stuff is still going to be same continuity and stuff.
Yeah, same kind.
Okay.
Yeah. Icarus Metro is going to be after that. Yeah.
Okay, I'm
So
with you there.
Yeah. So all that proxy stuff, like the origin of proxy, all that stuff like that, is going
Yes. Okay, fair enough. So you got
tie it all in.
okay.
Oh, it's gonna be longer though. Because it's gonna be like a book series. Like you know how like the Game of Thrones had their book series and stuff.
Yeah.
Like it's gonna be a book series. Yeah, it's gonna be a book series.
Okay, so and again, we'll get to the characters in a second, of course. But so, that's gonna be where we get like the meat of the universe and story, with the comics kind of being just kind of like, well, here's a real quick adventure, right quick, but the real meat of the story is happening in the light novel. Smart.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. We got artists that we've talked to at, for example, at DreamCon, who said that, hey, we'll do the interior art because it's a light novel, so it's like there's the novel part of it, but then there's pages that are being drawn out.
Got you. Just to help immerse,
just to help guide the story, so you can see some of the big scenes that I, for example, like. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like, author's pick, of like certain stuff like that. You know what I mean? And we already have some of the stuff drawn out from the light novel, from the webtoon. So yeah, that's I don't want to brag. I don't want to spoil too much, man. I don't want to spoil
okay. So we're gonna be able to start seeing that next year.
Yes.
Okay. How many? And again, I know we're supposed to get into the characters, but how many are you planning on doing light novels? I mean,
right now I was looking at 13 books. But
okay. Do you find it easier to write like the light novels more so than the comics? I know it's kind of a different style.
It's a little different. With the comics and stuff like that, it's the reason why it takes long for me because it's a lot more expensive.
Yeah.
In terms of art style and production and stuff like that. Just the whole aspect of it being a comic it's a little pricey. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that prolongs the process and it makes the process a little harder because you're not working with a lot of different people to produce your book, right? So starting with the light novel, I've been doing it by myself, but I'm now just bringing on an editor, who will be ongoing, like editing my work as I'm writing.
Okay.
So hopefully that process is a lot more smoother, but I feel like with that I'll be able to just churn the books out.
Okay. In comparison to that's fair enough.
Doing myself, you know what I mean? Because like I always say, you don't know what you don't know.
Right. That's true.
You know what I mean?
That's
I could be writing a certain way, but then if I'm not getting that ongoing feedback, then what like my efforts were for nothing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
yeah. Okay. All fair points.
Yeah. Plus, I don't write for myself, man. I mean, I love telling the stories, man, but I write for other people's enjoyment. You know what I mean? And that's the thing with being a creative, man. I write for other people's enjoyment. Personally, I mean, let's be honest. Writing, creating in this aspect is a tough journey, man. You know what I mean? It's not for the weak.
It's not. It's not.
But the thing is, it's like you gotta love it. That's the only way. That's the only way.
The only way you make it through.
Keep going. Yeah, you gotta love it. You gotta love writing people. You gotta love, just putting yourself out there like that because a lot of people put themselves out there and they fall and they don't get back up. But it's a matter of what are you getting back up for? Back up because you want to make wealth? Are you getting back up because you want? Are you like happy people are seeing your work? Like, what is your?
What's the goal? What's the end goal?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No, because like you said, it's tough. It's tough. You put yourself out there, and it's just like, okay, like you said, you don't know what you don't know. So it's like without any feedback, you're just like, do people like this? Should I just stop on this project and move on something else, so on and so forth. And so that's for us, that's one of the ideas that kind of spawned like the Tales from Midnight Joy, because it's just like we have a bunch of different stories, and instead of trying to come out with like the 24 pagers for each one, let's just give y'all like a short story for each one, and then let y'all decide, because it's just like Blue Morpho. I love the Blue Morpho, and I want to tell that story, but like she was last place when we did a poll, and it's just like, hey, if the people don't want it, then we're not gonna push that one as heavy, right?
But
And
it's
so gauging.
it's interesting when you say that, you know, because like I've done polls like that, right?
Yeah.
I've done polls like that on Twitter. You know, for some reason, Instagram is very finicky with engagement these days. I'm like, yo, like,
Say that again, bro.
if you're not posting reels, it's like
It
wow,
doesn't
like,
exist.
it doesn't exist, right? And then I'm just like, you know, I post on Twitter, I'll do it on TikTok and stuff like that. But it's like it's really difficult. And I haven't tried at conventions yet. I'm gonna try it at conventions, but try and do that poll to see what people would want next, right? Because I have a couple different titles in the woodworks. Like
Okay.
like I got this one comic that's already done. It just needs to be lettered, and I could just throw that out there as like an 8-page, like issue 0 right now. You know what I mean?
Let's
But
run it.
you know what I mean? But like, you know, and the cover is amazing. You know what I mean? But I'm just like, you know, will it be receptive? You know what I'm saying? You know, will people want it? Are people wanting more of this type of thing, or should I just work on what I currently already have? You know, that's kind of where my head is at right now, because you know, I have Icarus Metro, I have this web comic. I started out doing like these quick little written chapters of that series on my website called Crimson Spirits. I started, you know, Ani Hunter, you know what I mean? So it's like, should I just focus on what I have, or should I continue to just
expand,
write variety?
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's like the ultimate question, because it's like, you know, you could do a poll, but it's like, how do you ultimately determine if that person's actually going? You know, because anybody can fill out a poll, but
Right.
where they come out can buy it. You know, will they support when the book comes out? That's the
real question.
Yeah, yeah.
What? We're getting there. We're getting. She's like, y'all don't got all off topic. Da, da, da. No, we're getting there.
We're super off topic. Super off topic.
Well, fine.
We're both talkers, man. You know,
right? Oh man,
you know
that's that Virgo right there. There it is. So, well, all right, fine. We'll use this as the segue then.
Well, your birthday is the day before my birthday or the day after?
Day before, the 27th.
Day before, okay.
Day before. So, yeah, when we realized that, I was like, wait a second. This is the guy.
I was like, hold up.
So, perfect segue then. We're going to start talking about the characters. We're going to start talking about Miss Stone herself. Okay. Tell me about these abilities. I know about the... Hey, son. My son just popped up on me. So sorry, y'all. But yeah, we know he's got the the spell book and stuff and all the spirits and stuff. Can you dive a little deeper into what all that... Well, I guess it'd be spoilers to say where everything came from, because we don't necessarily get that.
Well, it kind of touches a little bit within Icarus Metro 1, actually.
Okay.
But I can give you a little background. So basically, Simone Stone, her natural paranormal ability is the ability to draw anything and it comes to life. Right? So she can draw or write anything within, you know, a piece of paper, or, you know, almost similar to like what Sai's ability is inside Naruto.
Yeah.
You know, but it comes out within like a spirit type form.
Okay.
So she could draw a dragon, or write up a dragon, or just write dragon. You know what I mean? Instead of just drawing, she could just write dragon, and dragon pops up. You know, so anything that she, you know, creates in that mode comes to life. But as she has that spell book, for example, The spell book is an item that derives from a celestial from an alternate paranormal Earth, where her powers have been bestowed from. So she is a demi-human of a celestial called Wraith. So Wraith is a female paranormal with the ability of a druid.
Okay. So, question then. So, what first came to my mind just now then is how like Cyclops is like eye beams or is energy coming from a different dimension. Is that kind of what's happening with her and these abilities here, where it's being pulled from that alternate realm?
Not being pulled. I mean, it's within her because it's all based off of like their DNA, their energy that they can emit. And this world, this dimension, they can travel to. I'm not going to spoil and say what the name of the dimension is or regarding it, but they can go to this dimension. And but this paranormal being, she's basically the demi-human of that paranormal being, and her powers not shown in Icarus 1, but it'll be shown in Icarus 4. Her God mode almost powers. Will basically has her. The options for her powers are limitless. Anything she could think of can be formed.
Bro, when she brought out, was that Ryujin? Bro, I was like, okay, wait a second. So is there any... Well, I guess you said it's kind of limitless. Is there any... What's the drawbacks of this ability, right? How much can she do? Is there any strain on her when she's utilizing it? Like, what's...
I mean,
are there any weaknesses?
Weaknesses? I mean... I would say that she's weak against other mages that may have a higher ability to her. So there's a couple of different power scales within this universe, right?
Okay.
There's a paranormal ability, right? Paranormal energy, and then there's magic, right? And then there's a couple other things, but paranormal energy and magic energy are two different abilities, right? So say, for example, she goes against a mage. Right, say that mage has, so she has like, let's just say because she's a demi-human, she has, I want to say, if there's celestials are number one in terms of power strength, she is number 2 as a demi-human. So she's like top tier. Like I want to say, if celestial is an S class, she's an A class.
Okay.
Right, so. It depends on whether or not that magician is an A class, an S class, and then when it comes to that, it depends on their stamina, because
Okay, and so the stamina pull, she's still got the stamina of a normal person. It's just that she's able to pull from, like, it's not. Yeah, she's just able to pull from.
I mean, she's been so basically her background. She has been a military agent since she was 8 years old. So she's been training for a long time.
She's that's crap.
And she's like, I think in Icarus Metro she is 20, either 23 or 24. But she's been a military agent since she was like 8. I think she was like from 8 to like 16 or 7, 8, maybe 8 to 18. She was a military agent for like 10 years, right? So it's like, she's done a lot of training. You know what I mean? So it's like her stamina is pretty high, but I mean that just depends on who she's fighting too.
Gotcha. So she's essentially peak human physicality at this point.
Yeah, peak human physicality, but it's also against her matchups. If she's fighting the demi-human of the sorcerer celestial, then it's like, they cancel each other out. If she's fighting a couple other villains from the precepts within Icarus Metro, some of their powers may cancel out with her.
Okay.
I don't think I showed that many powers. Like, for example, Proxy, she could jump bodies, right? But
I was looking at my notes. I was like, Proxy.
Yeah, Proxy, she could jump bodies, but let's say, for example, she jumps bodies into somebody who's a little bit stronger,
Yeah.
and she can just, it depends on, I feel like it depends, but she's more so a magic user. So I guess maybe hand-to-hand combat might be, if they can get close to her.
And we saw that in the first issue, right? Where she put herself in the right. Okay.
Yeah, hand-to-hand combat may be an issue for her.
So if she jumps, she jumps into somebody, hypothetically, she jumps into somebody that's stronger than her, and she still would have access to all of her same abilities.
Yeah.
Dude, that's ridiculous. And so it would still be, and then it would be amplified because of the person she's taking over.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. Jesus Christ. All right.
Yeah, that's why that girl had to get we had to show her first.
Got you. Yeah, because now I'm curious to see what villains you're gonna have further on down the line. I know we saw a little bit in issue 2. It's like that roundtable conversation with the villains.
Yeah, so we saw all the villains. I could talk about the villains' powers. I mean,
we'll get to that.
Because it's weird because I would just like put a background, but I can't put a background on here on mine.
Oh, you can't?
Nah. So I would just showcase like the villains and then be like, oh, these are the powers, but I can't do that. I don't mind sharing. I don't,
Can we do that? I don't think we can do that.
They've already been written down in my notes.
Nah, that's all right. That's all right. We'll get them the next time.
With a timestamp.
Tell me about because now, okay, so she's ridiculously strong. So what I might end up doing, because you're right. Your characters are we might just separate them.
So it's weird. It's weird with the Icarus Metro characters because it's like I kind of took my strongest characters and made that first story about them.
Yeah.
Right. With the opportunity to expand on them. Like right now, originally the Icarus Metro series is planned for like 25 issues. But I was just like, I'm thinking about it. I'm just gonna do one at a time, and I got forever to do them. You know what I mean? So it's just it's so weird because a lot of it's mythical based. A lot of it's based off of like characters and descendants of people from like ancient Egypt, the Roman Empire, Atlantis, all these like mythical foreign, unknown places. I kind of want to like although like when people hear paranormal, when I talk about paranormal, people think like, oh, that's ghost stories, that's scary stuff like that. No, I'm talking about like ancient lore. I'm talking about like I want
forgotten text, ancient knowledge,
everything. You know what I mean? So like, and when I do my research, when I'm writing stuff, like I'm Googling like Arabic, meanings of different things. Like, so a lot of like the character names and a lot of like the different like special names of different things within the story, like they're placed strategically, like based off of like
actual stuff.
Meanings. Yeah, they're alternate meanings. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. See, I mess with that. I love hearing the amount of research that goes into these things. Like again, like you just said, you're pulling from all these ancient lores and stuff like that, and actually, for the most part, like even staying true to it down to like what the meanings are, the double meanings, the powers, the lineages. Love that. Tell me about Sarah. She's got lightning powers, but I did see that you mentioned manipulates different forms of the element. So would love to hear you guys.
So Sarah is juice.
Sarah is juice.
There is juice. That's
so that whole webtoon joint is about her.
Yeah, so the whole origin story is about her. She's the main character. She's the leader of the Paladins.
Okay.
Yeah, so she is
fearless leader.
Can't really spell too much about her.
Okay.
That's the whole story.
Okay, fair enough.
But nah, she's extremely overpowered. She's
more so than Proxy.
Yeah, way more so. Proxy's not a demi-human.
Okay.
Not demi-human. No, she's a demi-human, but she is all I'm gonna say is so what a demi-human is. A demi-human is a potential successor. It's not a guaranteed successor, but a potential successor. So each of the celestials, with 12 celestials being that the lore, they have 2 potential successors. And Sarah is Zeus's potential successor.
Jesus.
So she, of course, has to, have that sort of power. And I guess a little bit about her lore is, she also has another name, but that's not, I can't.
Okay. Spoiler territory.
Yeah, spoil territory for my story. But yeah, she's extremely overpowered. I can't really. What can I say? You can kind of people can kind of get a glimpse on my webtoon, on like, some of her original abilities, which just, electric manipulation. But there's like, a bunch of different styles of lightning. And her ability, she is good at paranormal manipulation, which is her ability of like, the different types of lightning, or electric or kinetic energy. But she is also great at hand-to-hand combat.
Okay.
A martial artist. Her drawbacks are self-doubt.
Okay.
And her soft spot for for the people she cares about.
Okay. And so let me ask this: so is she at the same level of kind of peak physicality as we were talking about Simone earlier, or?
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. He's like,
I mean, Simone was in the military. She wasn't in the military.
Okay, but she been active at the same time.
I mean, she was just living her life,
Okay, I see.
High school kid, college kid.
Okay.
The story starts off like when she's 18, postgraduate high school. Just normal person. I mean, but of course, got stronger, as things started popping off in her city, in Icarus City. But yeah, I mean, just normal person. I mean, she could easily get beaten if she fought somebody who depending on like type matchup. Like if she fought somebody with like earth powers,
Okay,
that wouldn't be good for
that'd
her.
be tough. Okay,
that'd be kind of tough.
does she run out of energy or anything like that? Like since we're talking about like electricity and stuff like that, does she have to like recharge, or does she just is this natural state of energy?
Natural state of energy.
Okay, just electricity incarnate in a humanoid form. Almost.
Yeah. I mean that's basically so basically like the Celestials, like they all have different elements and different abilities, right? So basically, as a demi, they have the potential to be as strong as the Celestial. So like there are other different paranormals in the world, but like these other different paranormals, they it's like say for example, all right, let's look at you for example, right? Say you're a Celestial, right?
Okay. Oh, we out here. Let's get it.
Right? Yeah. Say you're a Celestial, right? You have your kids, right? And then your kids have kids, and then your kids have kids, and then your kids have kids, and your kids have kids, right? Actually, you know what? That's a bad example. Say you're a Celestial, and then say you get a group of followers, right? Your group of followers is 100 people, right? And you go to those 100 people and you bestow upon them power affinities similar to yours, and they go off and have kids, and they go off and have kids, and their kids have kids, and kids have kids for centuries. And then somehow something happens where they find their way on Earth, our dimension, and then they keep reproducing for centuries. And then you have a world full of paranormals with roots back to at least one of the Celestials.
Okay.
One of the 12 Celestials.
Okay.
Right?
So,
But there's still regular humans, there's still
mm-hmm.
regular people, but then there's also people who, like, say for example, you got somebody from that other place, the other alternate dimension, who
Mm-hmm.
made it over to our Earth and had a kid with somebody, and then their kid didn't have paranormal powers, but 3 generations later they had a paranormal power.
So
You
it
know
kind of
what
was it lied dormant until it got to the
until got someone who was strong enough to use it, or
okay.
strong enough to activate it. So it's something like that, because it's like, like I said, my stories play upon a lot of different lore and a lot of different mysteries, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's why my novel's gonna be called Paranormal Adventures, because I'm gonna go into like all different types of things that these characters face. I grew up listening to like stories about the Mandela effect, listening to stories about time travel, people disappearing on naval ships, Amelia Earhart in the Bermuda Triangle, stuff like that. So it's like, a time traveler, but what if he wasn't a time traveler? What if he was just a person from a different dimension who came over here and just joined in and just went along with different things there,
Kind of
or
integrated in.
what about the unexplained? You know what I'm saying? Like different stories like that. Government testing. What if you seen the movie? There's a movie that came out a couple of years ago. It was a World War II movie where they found a Nazi base, and in that Nazi base they were doing inhuman testing. And when they did
Overlord,
Overlord, right?
yeah.
So what
Ooh.
if, yeah. So what if, for example, like Overlord, that was actually a paranormal being, or they created, or that Nazi testing site was a passage to this other dimension.
Okay.
Got that being from the dimension, and they dissecting this being, trying to recreate it, and he gets loose, and then that's boom, that's the story, right?
Okay.
You got the Bermuda Triangle. What if that was the passageway? Because when people go in,
and then she just fell in there. Yeah.
When you go to the other world, you know what I mean?
Okay.
Or somebody who has the power to fly flies out, and comes back into this world. The chupacabras, all the different,
all the unexplained entities and
unexplained.
stuff.
So that's what the paranormal is, and in the story, all the unexplained. So basically, I went off on a ramble. But,
no, you good.
But that's basically how it's developed, So being that they're demis, their power is directly from. So basically, their power is directly from the celestial, right?
Okay.
Like a direct descendant, like pure blood. But the other ones are like descendants of people with their affinity.
Okay, that's what I was gonna ask. I was like, so there's some that are demis like directly, and then there's some that's just kind of a diluted.
Yeah. So there's always going to be 2 demis per celestial.
For the successors.
Yeah, always going to be 2 successors until they die, or success. But all the other powers, like say for example, you got water power, right? We both may be descendants of the celestial water. You may have powers to like make a whirlpool, in your backyard pool, and I may have the power to
flood the planet.
no, not flood the planet, but steam my hot water by just touching it,
Okay.
Because it's possible that maybe one of my descendants was a successor of the water. The other one was fire. Don't know.
Okay, so things like quirks almost, where it can mix and match at points and stuff like that.
Yeah, almost like quirks, but like I want to say like quirks. I feel like they say quirks is what, like 100 years of generation. My hero.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I
Like
only meant by
100 years.
how it passes down. That's all. That's
Yeah,
the
like
only
yeah, like 100 years. Like this is like centuries. Yeah, like since like the beginning of time. So
Okay.
yeah, there's a lot of variety.
So let me ask this, because Percy was the one that kind of caught my attention. Controls cyberspace and manipulates dark energy. He sounds like he's ridiculously powerful by himself as well.
Yeah, they all OP.
I mean,
yeah, Percy's definitely OP. His main power is manipulating cyberspace. Basically jump in the computer, destroy, malware and all these different things. Can basically manipulate cyberspace into like actual particles and blast people with it and slice people with it and create like warships with his mind and all sorts of things like that.
Jesus, this is a whole nother listen, thinking about it, like, okay, like obviously we're not pitting you up against like, well, never, whatever the randomizer will says.
Yeah,
but oh my god.
I mean, you can see it in Icarus
Two.
2, him like doing the little stuff. Like, it's funny because they're not sweating. The only person who was really sweating was like Simone Stone, because they took her body and she was already getting beat up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, you don't really see them sweat like that. And I didn't mean to make it like that. But it's a comic book. It's kind of it's you got to be quick with it. You know what I mean? Like, it's either they get knocked out or they don't.
So, okay, so obviously their powers are just amazing. First off,
yeah.
Physically, just normally. Physically, is he any different? I meant to ask about like speed and stuff like that, but my assumption is they are, like you said earlier, they're just human. But
yeah. For
the
most part, they're all just physically just human. Like, I'm not talking about like that. There's no like muscle enhancements. There's no big. I mean, a lot of times, like when they fight, they're fighting with powers. They'd be kind of shit out of luck if they didn't have their powers.
Got you. Okay, because I was wondering if their powers kind of automatically gave them, the standard superhuman strength, durability, kind of thing. They're regular people, but their powers. I got you.
Yeah. So it's almost like you're familiar with My Hero, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So you know how when Deku was like training in this most recent arc, right, when he was like going around defeating all the villains that escaped from jail.
Yeah.
So you know how when he fought that muscle guy that he defeated before, that he just one-shotted him. So it's almost like they're using their powers to like enhance themselves.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like it's like better use of their powers. Some people may use their powers to like ease their day, like heating up water, right? But then other people, and just going about their day. But the other people are like, "Oh, I'm free." They're more free.
I can do whatever I want.
I can do whatever I want, And it's like, are you gonna be a villain or are you gonna be someone who does good?
Okay. So then you have a couple more characters. Is it melancholy?
Yes.
Viscosity. Cross is a character, right?
Yes.
That's a separate character. And then I have notes. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good.
Jasmine doesn't have power. She's just the police chief.
Yes.
I specifically want to know about Catalyst with those flames. That's the one I want to ask you about. Like, I know it said 10 times hotter than normal flames. Tell me more about these. Is this Amaterasu?
Yeah. So Catalyst is wait, where'd you get Amaterasu from? From like Naruto?
Yeah, the Black Flames.
Okay. That's actually the title of Icarus 3.
We on
it. She's the main character of Icarus 3.
Okay.
So you'll see all about her and her like story and everything like that. Well, just her story, like her current lore, like understanding her powers and stuff. And you can actually see her within the Juice webcomic. She's the first villain.
Oh,
So it's like, she's a villain first, and then becomes a hero. So she's actually
okay.
in the webtoon. Like you can see like her utilizing her powers. She is overpowered, but not as much as like if like she's an A. I would say A, but she's not like she can't beat Simone Stone. Like she can't beat
Okay.
Sarah. You know what I mean? Juice. Like I said, amplified power, amplified fire, pink fire. And just great manipulation of her fire abilities. Great hand-to-hand fighter. She's more like a scrapper.
Okay.
She's like
Just
a
a heavy
scrapper.
brawler out there, just kind of
Yeah, she's more like a brawler.
Okay. So no like actual like training. She just been about that life.
Yeah,
And
she's
got
been
hit.
like a street fighter. Yeah, she's a street fighter.
Okay. And so, never mind. I was about to ask the same question again. Again, everybody's on standard playing field, but again, if you're getting hit by normal flames, you're done. These are 10 times hotter. It's game over.
Yeah. She's one of the best fire users in the story.
So, is there any way? And I meant to ask this, about the previous characters too. Obviously they're gonna grow throughout the story, but like, is she capped at like 10 times hotter than normal flames, or is there going to be like a
We'll see.
spoiler territory?
We'll
Spoiler
see.
territory.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't
Fair
know.
enough.
No, it's funny. You're asking me about certain characters, but there's some characters you're not asking me about, and I'm just like, I'm just waiting for those.
Okay. Well, let's talk about Armani then. Let's talk about your boy Armani. Tell me about him.
Armani Disco. Okay,
Yes, sir.
so he would definitely be. He's powerful, but he's not as powerful as he's not like the rest of. He would be like a B.
Okay.
He's the slasher.
Yeah.
So the thing with him is he's great at taking enemies out, like great at being an assassin. And his power is liquid metal. So it's like what happens with liquid metal, right? You can harden it. So you can basically harden it until however you feel, and then use that against your opponent. So it just depends on his actual use of his ability.
This man, so is he's like Buddy from Terminator 2.
Yes.
Jeez. Now, I like obviously he was doing way more than he was in Terminator 2, but like because he captured some folks using the liquid metal, like wrapping it around them and stuff like that. That guy wasn't doing that, but in Icarus 2, he did that, right? Do I have that right?
Yeah, so he could capture people with like the liquid metal and stuff like that. And let's just say that the liquid metal responds well to fire. So
and that team up, right?
Yeah, say he teams up with somebody with fire, it's like that's a never-ending burn because it's basically oil,
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he's a really good support character then.
He's a good support character. He's a good assassin, but he's a good support character.
Yeah, because I don't imagine him like actually like anybody that's on those previous characters we was talking about. Like he's not fighting Sarah like that. He's not fighting Juice on no equal foot. Oh, we got to read Juice, don't we?
Yeah, when I get the story out, you'll see.
Okay.
Oh,
yeah, what?
That's book two.
He's a problem. He was a problem.
He's a problem. They're all problems. That's what I'm saying. It just depends on. It depends on the story.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
I like that it's not cut and dry.
It's not cut and dry. It's not like they're going to just like Mortal Kombat. It's time to fight. Like
right.
It's like it's a part of like the whole overarching story. Like how did what are there items where people can get even stronger? You know what I mean?
See, okay.
Is there ways for people to juice up? I don't know.
Okay. Because like part of me was just like, wait, nah, like okay. Because I was like, well, he's more, for lack of a better word, grounded in comparison to everybody else, right? Where it's just like, all right, like Simone is literally pulling literally anything out to get the job.
So I'm not sure if you're a fan of the Compound Z. V. I don't know. Who knows?
Okay. Okay. So you
I
got
like
what?
I like these questions, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I do want to say, can I get a copy of this?
yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
As soon as it's done, like when we end the record stuff like that, yeah, I'm sending all of this to you.
Okay. All right.
But yeah, so we got what 4 characters left.
Woo.
Melancholy. Let's
Melancholy.
start.
Wind manipulator, former soccer player, professional soccer player.
Mm-hmm.
So you know how, like, for example, I'm introducing basketball to the world with Honey Hunter.
Yeah.
I'm going to be introducing soccer to the world with this guy.
Okay.
And that's basically it for him. He's not a demi or nothing like that. He would definitely be C class. Well, no.
Okay.
He'd be B class because he can fight.
Okay.
But he's not stronger than viscosity.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So viscosity then. So wait, going back to the hierarchy of things that you have.
Viscosity is
Celestials, Demi. What was the other one? Celestials, Demi. What was under them?
Just regular paranormal.
Just regular people.
Like it depends on like if you like can apply it for fighting or anything other than just manipulation.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay, gotcha. So regular people that also have some ability. What is the name of like? Well, never mind. That's the paranormal stuff. Duh. Got it. So all right, viscosity then. So we got melancholy, wind abilities, viscosity. What we working with?
What do you mean?
No, their powers. Their powers. I'm sorry.
Who viscosity? Oh, melancholy.
Viscosity.
Viscosity is Armani. That's the liquid metal.
Oh my gosh, I wrote him down twice. I put Slasher and then Armani into one, and then I wrote viscosity down. Oh my gosh, that's me. I'm sorry. Cross.
Cross. He's a demi of ice. So he has ice manipulation powers. He can form giant dragons and beasts and just like basically frost the city into like a supernova, like a super sub-zero like ice wasteland if you wanted to.
Jesus. Is he one of the successors?
Yeah, he's a demi. Yeah, he's a successor of ice.
So wait, so who all are successors here? Sarah's one, potential one.
Sarah, yeah, all potential successors. Sarah, Cross, and Arthur on one team.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah. I'm not going to explain why they're all on one team. But for right now, yeah, they're just one team. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He's low key though. Like he has different personality than them. Mm-hmm. They're more like all friendly and stuff like that. Yada yada. Like he's more like standoffish. You know, call me if you need me. Mm-hmm. Like I like my peace. You know what I mean? I like my time to myself. You know what I mean? Or I'm cool around who I want to be cool around. Like he doesn't mind just hanging around like a dive bar, just hanging out with certain types of individuals. They won't do that. You know what I mean?
Okay.
They're like hipsters.
So with his ability, that man, okay. This will turn into a whole nother hour conversation, but
I mean, his abilities, like his natural enemy is like fire, of course.
Right. And so, would Catalyst be able to compare to, like, be able to melt the ice that he's producing?
Depends on how it depends.
Depends on the scenario, yeah.
Depends on the scenario. Yeah, depends on the scenario and if he's fighting for real or not. You know what I mean? But no, she can't beat him.
Okay. All right.
They fight, but we'll see.
In Juice or in a future Icarus, he's like better.
No, like in the light novel, they'll fight, but I mean I haven't written it yet, so they'll fight.
Okay. Coming soon, ladies and gentlemen, at Icarus Metro Comics.
Yeah, he won't appear for a while.
Okay.
Yeah, he won't appear for a while, and even in the Icarus series, he won't. I'm trying to think, like Icarus. people may see his powers for the first time in Icarus 4, but like I don't think he has a fight scene till maybe Icarus 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then in the light novel, like you said.
Yeah, in the light novel, but yeah, that'd be a year or 2, 3,
Okay.
4.
I'm ready. I'm ready already.
Yeah.
and then Cortex ?
Cortex is a paranormal military faction that goes around the world and
So that's just a whole other group.
That's an organization, yeah. But you're missing, how many pounds are you missing? You're missing.
I have Sarah, Percy, Melancholy, Cross, Viscosity, Simone, Catalyst, and Jasmine.
Okay, you're missing.
We didn't talk about Jasmine.
Yeah, you're missing Sean.
Sean, okay.
Sean, he's in the last page of Icarus 2.
Okay. Uh-oh. We lost him.
Hold
on. Okay. It's like, oh no.
Yeah, he's in the last page of Icarus 2 fighting with Juice.
Okay.
Yeah, so I had to put him like a quick little introduction. He has fire abilities too.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Very last page. So is his ability on par with Catalyst at all?
Yeah.
Okay.
He is out of that group. Him and Percy are both like S class.
So he ranks above Catalyst. Because Catalyst was A, right?
Yeah. He ranks above Catalyst. I mean,
depends on the day in the scenario.
I would say both of them are middle between S and A.
Okay.
But he's stronger than Catalyst. Yeah, he's one of the main 3. He's in the webcomic too. He's one of like he's one of the main, the first 3. Like it's like the story starts off, and these are like my first 3 characters ever. Like it was Sean, Sarah, and Percy, the trio.
And that's why he said just like old times on that last little on the last page just now. Gotcha.
Yeah. So he appears in the issue 3 of Icarus Metro. It's one of the press-up members versus Catalyst and Sean. So he makes a big, like he's fighting for real in the 3rd book. So the people that are fighting in the 3rd book is Juice, Catalyst, and Sean. Okay.
So here's my question, and I don't want to accidentally make it a whole hour long, another hour long, but tell me then, right? Because this team is
and we're forgetting Landman.
Landman.
Yeah.
Completely forgot about him. Tell me about him.
Basically, he has the powers. He has like hardened skin.
Okay.
Not like bulletproof, but it's like, being like he's an animal. He has like thicker, harder skin.
That's the one that was laid out in issue 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So he's basically he's a brawler too, just like Catalyst. Like they both got brawler, backstory. But he also, like, how a goat yell, like bah, right?
Yeah.
You can shoot out sonic blast.
Sonic blast. I'm taking notes. I'm mentally preparing for the whatever matchup they go. Which they are. I can't think of an indie team at the moment. There's not a lot of indie comic teams that I know of, right? Like obviously Delta Dogs is one. If you're familiar with Essential Comics, they've got Rough Justice and Benchmark 5, but they're not on this same. Like this team is crazy. Like this might be one of those scenarios the Paladins enter the universe and they think you're a paranormal.
See, it's crazy because I already had these ideas and I brought these characters, and it's like a lot of these powers I kept expanding on them, right?
Yeah,
Because I wanted to make it so I wanted to, because I knew some of these powers were OP. I wanted to make villains that
that was the next question.
were that could kind of put threats into their eyes. You know what I'm saying? Um, so in order for me to do that, I had to also make villains and expand upon them too.
Okay.
I can't talk about the villains. I just want to give y'all I want to give
No,
y'all
that
the
was gonna be
characters.
the question.
I want to give y'all the characters and
Okay.
say, okay, he got these overpowered characters. What are the villains like? You know what I mean?
Right.
You know what? How can they go through and fight these villains? Well, let's just say that most of the villains, it gets to a point where most of the villains are S class, but
Jesus.
you know what I mean? But that happens after time, and it's not like these characters start off with all these strong abilities.
Right.
Like in the story, in Icarus Metro, yes, they have all these strong abilities. That's how they are in Icarus Metro.
Because
Right?
we're thrown right in the middle
Because
of their
we're
journey
thrown
already.
right in the middle. You're thrown and you're just, because the focus of me playing on Icarus Metro is not for you to learn their abilities and such. It's for you to learn and like the characters.
Gotcha. But
But
that's so
but the
Juice is
origin story, the origin story will show you learning the characters from their beginning to their end. You know what I mean? Icarus Metro is just fan service.
Is the world scared of these people? Like, obviously, I mean, they're all working together. They're working for an agency and stuff like that. Is that kind of, are they employed here because essentially the governments and the powers that be are scared of them and want to keep them in check to some measure, or?
No. At first, everything is almost like a myth.
I see. Okay.
They believe is that a lot of people know that stuff is real, but then a lot of people don't know it's real. So the book starts off in a certain way where it's it was the first introduction of okay, these things might be actually out here. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And as time goes on, just having that becomes more accepting and more people showcasing going forward. So it's at first it's nobody has it.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end it's everybody has it. Or
Okay.
most have it, but there's no regular people out there.
Mm-hmm.
There's aliens, there's all these other different things, you know what I mean? But it's just after a while it gets more accepting.
Okay.
At first it's a little bit more accepting for aliens to be out there than paranormal powers, but because I don't think I show aliens with paranormal powers. I think aliens are just aliens, lizard people,
Yeah. Huh.
cat people, stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like almost like Gintama.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So, side question then: are we going to see any hint of this in Ani Hunter? I know this is a sidebar conversation, but since it's in the same universe, are we going to be able to? Are we going to see these type of elements, or is this taking place far enough away to where some of these elements are non-existent?
Well, you know what an Ani is, right?
Yeah, for sure, like a demon or what have you. Yeah.
Yeah, like a Japanese folklore demon or something like that.
Yeah.
So of course, Ani was basically it's like a paranormal type of creature.
Gotcha. Right. Everything kind of falls into that paranormal category.
That mystery from beyond type of thing. That might be my anthology title.
There you go. Ooh, mystery from beyond. Write that down.
But
damn, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
But I would say that Ani Hunter, one of the characters, she has paranormal powers. I didn't talk about it in the first book because I'm not focusing on it. And I probably won't talk about it until the third book because I kind of want to establish the characters in its own first, But yeah. I mean, throughout the whole world, there's all these different types of things. You know what I mean? Like it with Ani Hunter, books coming soon. But you'll be able to grasp. I'm trying to think. No, you won't be able to. Well, you don't see too much of it on it. Not the first book.
Okay.
But yeah, it exists in the world. So I mean, it's not going to really apply to their side just yet. But as things go on, yeah, you'll see more of it within the 5 issues I planned. Yeah, 5 issues. Yeah.
Okay. Well, with that being said, we're gonna wrap up. Let the people
No
know.
problem. You want to talk more about the powers? Nah.
What, the Ani Hunter powers?
No. You can't talk about that.
Hey. Wait a second. He's sharing the spoilers with us.
But no, there's I mean, this like for example, there's a lot of different powers within Icarus Metro, and as time goes on, you'll see like the different types of powers, different types of energies. It's crazy, man, because of course, it has to do with time, and it has to do with cost, and it has to do with production and everything like that. But I have so many ideas for like the characters within the Icarus Metro series. It's kind of hard to just like not only pinpoint what I want to do, but also what route I want to take, because it's like I got all these paladins, but like I could easily spin them off into like 9 different stories or 9 different side stories outside of the Icarus Metro stories, right? Because honestly, I'll tell you one thing: it took me a long time to find an idea, like to figure out how to start Icarus Metro.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it took me a long time because, and I have like different storylines of like what could have been, but I wanted to make something very concise. You know what I mean? Like all the precepts, like that round table of villains, they were supposed to be their own individual stories of different people fighting them. Not the paladins. You know what I mean?
Oh.
You know what I mean? Like the only person that was supposed to be like it was always supposed to be Simone and the author, right?
Yeah.
I mean, no, it was always supposed to be the author versus Proxy. That was always supposed to be, right? But the whole strings and the other guy Boa and the other guy the girl Dark Amazon, the Don, the consultant, they were all supposed to be different characters, different stories and stuff. But I was just like,
I was
like, let me just throw them all together.
This man had the whole MCU ready to go.
Yeah, it was crazy, and like I said, when I started coming up with these ideas, man, it was like 2017, and I didn't get Icarus Metro 1 out until 2021, so it was just like 4 years of like backlog of stories. Like, for example, like even with Strings, like Strings was supposed to be a villain and other different types of stories. So was the consultant. Like, I want to show you something like that. Like right here, I got another different comic book, like another comic story right here that I'm just like, it's just in the back.
Man.
It's like,
come on, like, man.
If I can find somebody ready, I might, we'll see, because we'll see. Next year, I mean, I may have my artists for Ani Hunter do other different stories too.
To those that are listening, that cover was fire just now. Sorry you missed it.
And that was something like, yeah. So yeah, all right. I'm not talking.
No, you're good. No, we want you to keep talking. No, tell us where we can find you. Tell the people where they can find you at and pick up these stories.
You can find me www.icarusmetrocomics.com. You can check out our Instagram. We're more active on Instagram and Facebook these days. Shout out to Midnight Comics teaching us how to automate, because that has helped. I have not been on social media all week, but as soon as I go on like Facebook, I went on Facebook to look at. I've been watching this Country Wayne skit series, so I go on Facebook for that, and I see like first thing I see is, oh, Icarus Metro posted this. I'm like, I posted. I said, oh, yeah. You know. So, you know, you can find us on Instagram and Facebook for the most part for updates. You can subscribe to an email list. We update that more frequently. That's about maybe once or twice a month. You know, of like new stuff coming to our website, new clothing, attire, etc. And we're actually going to be starting up a weekly Patreon. So, you know, you can subscribe to that. We're going to be doing more conversations like this with characters, like showcasing, like you'll get more in-depth descriptions of each of our characters as we go on. And we probably going to be starting off doing short 8-page comics going forward, you know, with just new titles.
Okay. Yeah, that was a, you know, and again, to try to reel it in, but I was talking to a couple people about their thoughts on these on shorter comics, because 9 times out of 10, it might have been Lonzo, 9 times out of 10, you know, you read your Marvel, DC and stuff like that, but there's so many ads in the doggone thing. You know what I mean? Like, is it really a full 20 some odd page? Like, no, it's not.
Yeah, I got a Marvel book, and I was like, you know, in my head, I was like, all right, you know, let me pace out, you know, what I want to do for next year and stuff like that, or pace out Icarus 3. And I started counting the pages. I grabbed it. I was like, all right, well, you know, I get my books on Comic Wellspring, and I don't count the covers,
right,
you know, or the inside, but I just count the inside pages. And I at one book, and it was like 24 pages of an actual comic, but it was like 10 pages of advertisement.
Yeah.
And it made it like a thicker book, you know.
Yeah.
It always made me wonder. I don't know if you've ever wanted this and stuff like that, but like every time I go to a comic book store, for the most part, it's empty. Right?
Yeah.
So I'm a little confused on where they're getting
money from.
Money to do these new stories and stories and stories and stories and stories and new universes over and over, the same characters. I'm just like, are the advertisers paying for it?
Yeah, that would be the assumption for sure. Yeah, I mean, somebody has to be buying it, obviously, of course, for them to continue the story. But yeah, like that's a wonderful question, because like you go 9 times out of 10 when you go in this could be a whole nother conversation. But yeah, you 9 times out of 10 you go to a comic book shop, you know, you go on a Wednesday and you're just like, where's everybody at, right?
Yeah.
You know, that's when they plot those events and they have people in there. A lot of them pair it with like the card games, stuff like that, to get traffic and stuff in there. It varies, whatever you got to do it. But that might be a conversation. You know what? We're actually gonna have Danny J. Quick on Ace Blade, and he has a comic shop, so that might actually be a question that I ask him as well, just out of curiosity. Because I mean, obviously, we don't really know like how is that sustainable with, you know,
yeah, because
seeming decline, I guess, right in traffic. So yeah, what were we about to say? I'm sorry.
No, I was saying, like, for example, around me, there is a lot of empty commercial spaces, right? A lot of empty commercial spaces. And being that I'm already doing this for my own stories, and I see Danny's stuff on TikTok, and I'm just like, I should bring something like this to my neighborhood, right? You know what I mean? You know, and make a store. But then I'm looking at other stores, and they're not doing so well. You know what I mean? Or they're doing well because they've been there for years. Like two
right. They're a staple in the community.
Yeah. Two of the stores that are near me. Is one store near me where I'm not sure if you met David Crownson.
Yeah,
the Demon Slayer. So he lives like 30
man,
minutes.
everybody up there. What?
Yeah, he's like 30. Like he does signings at one of the closest shops to me, like maybe 20 minutes.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So, you know, in that store, I asked them, I was like, well, what do you guys like sell mostly? Like, and I see from the other store, they mostly sell number ones.
Yeah.
Like when a new series comes out, they get the number ones, people come in, they pre-order, etc. Right? But I'm just like, you know, like,
what else?
What else? You know what I mean? Like, you know, what else you got? You know, what else you doing? Because, you know, it may be because it's aligned with what we're doing here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, why not bring another store, like, you know, store to New Jersey? Why not bring another store to Atlanta? You know, if it aligns with what we're trying to achieve with our business, which is get our stories out there, you know. Or is it almost like a double-edged sword? Will people come there for our stories, or will they come there for the Batman,
the Batman, Superman? Yeah,
you know?
That's a real question. That's right. What's the draw, and how can we make it us?
Yeah, and it's like, in that sense, how do we grow our brands? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You know, because
man, that's a whole nother. That's another conversation.
Yeah, because we are independent authors. You know, we are almost like we technically, because we have multiple stories, we are a small press. You know,
Yeah.
So how do we grow ourselves to a point where people notice us and want to come to us? You know what I mean? Because it's like, you look at people like, and I don't care what anybody says, we can't compare ourselves to Marvel and DC, right?
No,
because they grew in a place where there was no other people making comic books, right? And then if another person said they wanted to make comic books, they brought them under their labels, and they worked on new individual stories, bringing new characters. Like, I went to Black Lake Comic Con, no, not Black Lake Comic Con, Big Lick Nova, and Virginia this year, and I met one of the co-creators of Rogue from the X-Men.
Okay.
And he said that he didn't think Rogue was going to go anywhere. It was just a commission.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm like,
God.
you know, that's because, you know, him as a graphic designer went and worked and did a job for Marvel. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, the people came in, they did stuff under the small press, and then they had so many titles that came together and it blew up. Right. But it's like, that was during a time where that stuff was just, it was like getting in the ground floor, right?
Right.
It was like being a streamer on a new platform, when a new platform first dropped, right? But how do people, you know, especially with all these people, you know, a lot of people making content like us, small press, authors, you know, and we're not just competing with like other indie creators, we're competing with novelists, we're competing with artists, we're competing with people who make fantasy stories like Game of Thrones, you know what I mean? The next Stephen King. We're competing with everybody because, you know, places, you know, like ABC, like this, you know, ABC, Netflix, Hulu, Amazon, they're looking for new stories to make shows off of. You know what I mean? So it's just like, how do we get seen to a point where, you know, we get noticed by those corporations, but we also get noticed by the people? Because, you know, the people are going to be the ones that are going to be supporting us in our growth. You know, so I could talk about stuff like that.
Bro, I think this needs to be a topic on one of your lives, man. And we need to get some folks together on it, bro. Because this is a very valid question. Like, how do you stand out, you know, in the midst of like literally everybody else that said this? Like, what do you have to do to stand out?
Yeah. And it's weird because, like, me, for example, I'm looking at social media differently these days. You know what I mean? Like, and personally, I'm going to be a little less active. That's why I like the little automation thing.
Yeah.
Only because of the fact that I'm looking at it in a sense of a lot of people that follow me and that I follow, they're other creators. And I don't think that's my target audience. My target audience is fans of fantasy and action and adventure, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, how do you reach that without, like how do you reach that, you know, outside of doing convention? That's where I'm kind of like trying to strategize. How do I get that there? Because like, as a creator, like you're like you got a whole bunch of people that follow me, and they're creators themselves. As a creator myself, I know I'm broke doing what I gotta do. You know what I mean? So it's like, I can't expect you to buy my book if you broke too. You know what I mean? So it's just like, you know, that's another avenue of conversation.
Yeah, I will say this here, wrap it up. Are you in the Black Comic Lords group?
That Facebook messaging?
The Facebook page or group, not the chats. I'm not in a lot of those chats.
Yeah, I think so. The one you posted?
Yeah. I was gonna say that page showed a lot of love, and that's mostly more fans than creators. Like I'm in, not gonna name drop any other groups, but I'm in several other groups that didn't. It's mostly you know. So it's not, the reception was so much better because it wasn't just creators, but also people that just genuinely like comic books. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So the reception was better. So now I think it's just a matter of like, honestly, really, if us creators find a space, share where the other fans and audiences are, because it's tough.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to when Honey Hunter officially drops, I'm gonna have to probably maybe see how it does in that group. But I know it just depends on the environment because because Honey Hunter, I made it. One of the reasons why I made it was because it's a black male lead, right? I saw that Icarus Metro, the first lead of the first book was black female. Lead of the second book was Italian male. So people are looking at that, especially black people, and it's what it is. You know what I mean? But like, they're looking at it like, where's my people at? I'm just like,
I got you.
Just read the story, like
it's coming together.
Yeah, like, well, just read the stories, So we'll see. But that's it. That's it for me.
Fair enough. Hey, everybody that's listening, thank you guys for tuning in. This was nothing indie breakdown. We had Calvin Chambers III with Icarus Metro Comics out here. Of course, I'm Lloyd Jones with Midnight Comics. We do have our nifty stuff, obviously, indie breakdown being one of them. Indie Versus coming soon. We are, you may be listening to this or watching this rather on on Patreon or listening to this on Spotify. But definitely check us out. All of our social media and all of Icarus Metro social media will be included in this video. What do we have coming down the pipe in the next little while, really quick? Midnight Adventures. The first couple episodes are are done. So nice, mixed, and all that other good stuff. So
what's Midnight Adventures?
Midnight Adventures is actually our audio drama. So what we have is we started playing DC Universe Online a while back, and we put our characters in there, and we were just playing the game, having fun. It was just like, you know what? Our characters don't talk in this. Let's actually make some dialogue for them. And there was like, okay, well, how would our characters actually interact with these people, and how would they, converse back? So, we have like the Blue Morphle talking to like Batman. Like, okay, what is that interaction actually?
Wait, so you're recording the gameplay and they're putting the voiceover on it?
No. So no. So like we take our adventures. So like, say for sake of conversation, me and you were playing DC Universe, and we just have our normal banter and stuff like that. And we're just talking and like, oh, today we fought Clayface or whatever like that. I would take that and be like, all right, so how would Simone and the Gray interact with each other? And then with Clayface having to deal with those powers and everything we know about Clayface, what is his reaction going to be? What is he going to do? And then I just kind of write a script like right off of that, and it's just like, okay, bet. And so we actually have a full voice cast for season 1. They're killing it, and so yeah, that's dang near done. All of the scripts have been written for that. It's just a matter of finishing recording the last couple episodes. But Midnight Adventures in full swing, so you guys should be hearing that on the Spotify or watching the video version, of course, on the Patreon as well. The Unbeloved. By this point, I think the Gray Kickstarter reward should already be out. The digitals are already out. But the Unbeloved Chapter 3 should officially be heading to its pre-order event, most likely towards the end of October. So that should be actually when this posts, I guess it should already be out. Anyway, we're doing our pre-order event for the Unbeloved, the manga coming soon. It's our longest running series so far. So we'll have chapter 3, which will be the 4th book. Technically, we have chapter 0, 1, 2, and 3. And then, of course, we'll be releasing the volume as well. So I hope I'm not rambling too terribly much, people. But yes, we have the Unbeloved getting ready to drop this fall. We have Midnight Adventures about to drop as well. And be on the lookout because we also have merch now. We're trying to be like Icarus Metro. We have shirts and stuff that we're gonna be pushing. We not nifty. We ain't got the shorts. We ain't got the shorts. We ain't got the beanie hats. We ain't on that level yet. But we got shirts and maybe a couple mugs.
They're seasonal.
Oh, right, the seasonal joints. Oh, actually, we also have. I got to kind of wash this off, but we also have mouse pads. Hold on. There we go. We have mouse pads. So if you'll be on your computer gaming and all that other stuff, get yourself a mouse pad. We have it for all of the main characters from Tales 1, so definitely check it out. If you're interested in doing that as well, Printful is definitely the way to go. But anyway, again, I'm Lloyd Jones from Midnight Comics. We had the opportunity again to talk with Calvin Chambers with Icarus Metro. Definitely check them out. Again, all the information will be included. And thank you all for tuning in to another awesome episode of the Indie Breakdown. And remember, until next time, everybody, midnight is coming.